Grand Rising, y'all. I'm Chanel. I am a 27-year-old stay-at-home mom to my beautiful baby girl. And y'all, today is a really hectic, kind of jam-packed day. I have to pack and get us ready for our trip to Washington. Soleil is going to be spending some time with her dad, and I have to bring her to Washington. And it's just a mix of emotions because of how we separated and we're going through the court systems to finalize our divorce and a parenting plan. And it really is just a really emotional and, quite frankly, a triggering week, going back to the place where I felt like I was broken, I was lost, isolated, felt alone, and just really trying to navigate through motherhood for the first time, taking care of a baby by myself, and just going through such an emotionally and mentally abusive situation. Trigger warning for anybody that's ever been through something like this. I am going to share a little bit more about my experience and what I went through. So, this week has been really hard for me to kind of grasp my mind around it, and having to pack and having to take her back to Washington to visit him, and all of the tit for tat that happens in between, and just trying to keep calm and remember that I've come this far, and that just because I'm going back to Washington for a short amount of time doesn't mean that I have to lose all the progress that I have made and built to reach this far in my life, and to, quite frankly, get away safely. And we did. So I'm forever grateful to be able to even be at this point. So, a little context: I left Washington back in January with a temporary protection order so Soleil and I could be able to leave safely. And it ended up later getting denied because it's a little hard to prove emotional, mental, psychological abuse, especially when we were together most of the time. He had 12 weeks off for parental leave, and I had 16 weeks off, and a lot of it happened during that time, so it was a little bit difficult to prove everything in court at that time. But I ended up having to go back to court with him. He tried to get a restraining order against me, and then he pushed forward with temporary orders, which included that I had to travel to Washington every other month to have his visits, and he is supposed to come to Boston, but he hasn't been. So then I had to take him back to court, along with a bunch of other things that was happening while Soleil was under his care. So he lost his overnight visits with her, and now we are back navigating through a high conflict situation. So this trip is definitely not going to be like the other ones, but it's still going to be high conflict. I don't travel alone. I have my parents' support, and they come with me to make sure that I am safe and that Soleil is safe. So I am just really grateful for my continuous support. And of course, I have my family and friends that are checking in on me, knowing that I'm here. So it's definitely been a really hard week for me to just remember where I'm coming from, and to remember that it's going to be okay, that all of this is going to get worked out eventually, and that I am doing a great job.